Now let's get started. Our keynote presentation on the future of networks comes from Susan Peluso, Verizon's Director of Product Strategy. Please welcome Susan to the stage.
Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. It is an absolute pleasure to be here today to talk to you. I'm going to go through, as Courtney mentioned, the future of networks. It's been, a very exciting year for a multitude of reasons, but very exciting year for Verizon. In particular, we're talking about our mid-band spectrum in the auction that just occurred this year. I'm going to touch bases on amplifying and accelerating 5G, mid-band auction, network design, digital journey, the value across businesses, how 5G can supercharge the electrical grid, and a little bit about Verizon Foundation in Tennessee. We'll have some time for Q&A. Next slide, this is our safe harbor statement. And we can go forward, please. Thank you. As a multi-purpose network company, we put network investment at the core of what we do. That, with the mid-band auctions, helping us amplify and accelerate 5G built right. The auction results provided 140 to 200 megahertz in every market, average of 161 megahertz mid-band depth across the United States, also contiguous in the United States, 60 megahertz early clearing A block spectrum. Over a 12-month period with this new spectrum, we will cover 100 million pops. As we get into and ending 2023, we plan to cover 175 million pops. 2024 and beyond, 250 million pops. We're doing that with a $10 billion capital spend over a 3-year period. Our initial mid-band build will be on our existing infrastructure, coupled with 30,000 small cells with millimeter wave by the end of this year. Over time, 50% of urban traffic is expected on millimeter wave. Next slide, please. Excellent. 5G will open up a platform for innovation that will dramatically improve our global society. Imagine healing people through telemedicine, transforming education worldwide through immersive and distance learning, using remote robotics for rescues in emergency situations, saving the lives of first responders, and having fleets of autonomous vehicles to deliver goods, just to name a few. With the addition of this new spectrum into our portfolio, we'll continue to expand the industry-leading 5G, which is the platform that enables 21st century innovation. By advancing our network with mid-band, we accelerate the pace of innovation for our own company and for our customers. Mid-band is referred to that because that's exactly what it is. It sits between low band, like Verizon's 700 megahertz, and high band spectrum, like millimeter wave, which is in 28 and 39 gigahertz. The FCC 5G spectrum auction made available 280 megahertz of prime mid-band spectrum in the 3.7 to 3.98 gigahertz band, which is a portion of the mid-band. As we go on to the next slide, I'll graphically explain this to you. So I've talked about low band. We launched low band a long time ago. It has a very wide coverage, a little bit more narrow of bandwidth. That's our 700 spectrum, like we've talked about. Next, we launched with our millimeter wave. So it's a very high density play. The bandwidth, it's more bandwidth, little less coverage, right? So right in between that, like we've talked about, is going to be this mid-band spectrum, which is about to show up right now. Mid-band spectrum is in our suburban market. It sits right in between. So it has good coverage and it also has good bandwidth. The three of those will complement each other for our overall. We're going to spend some time talking about this multi-layer spectrum and what it delivers because it is great coverage and great performance. And then lastly, globally, we'll have some satellite. All right, moving on. Enabling our digital transformation. So 5G and the 5G ecosystem is coming to life, leveraging full capabilities of Verizon's 5G from throughput to ultra low latency to sensor densification and rock solid reliability. We already have market today with leading cloud providers and expect to continue growing our roster of market making partnerships, including the likes of IBM, Cisco, SAP, and Deloitte. Edge apps and software as a service, SaaS, moving applications to the edge provides the performance needed for dynamic applications. Bringing applications closer to the edge can help reduce latency. Doing so also helps improve machine to machine and machine to human response time. Managed network services are becoming a key enabler to a successful digital transformation journey by organizations. Advanced security, threat intelligence, risk assessment, and data forensics for networks. The Verizon 5G Edge platform is the first mobile edge compute MEC platform in the world that brings together Verizon's 5G network with Amazon Web Services, AWS, industry leading cloud services. Computer vision uses AI techniques to identify objects within an image. It's used for various solutions such as intelligent video, parking, fire detection, etc. Ucas, Unified Communications as a Service, instead of treating the different ways we communicate as separate tools, Ucas can merge them together so they function similarly to a central nervous system. No matter where an employee resides, which is obviously very important over the last couple of years, they get the same user interface to handle everything from voicemail, instant messaging, to enterprise mobile devices like smartphones. UCAS systems will include presence technology that will identify the moment a device logs onto the network. Contact Customer Center as a Service, CCAS. These are not recommended to say early in the morning before you've had your coffee. It's just way too many letters to trip up on. It powers a company's external communications, customer communications. CCAS serves up advanced call center operations in the cloud, empowering businesses to innovate. The tremendous growth of IoT is changing the way businesses and communities are maintaining safety, managing costs, and enhancing the customer experience. 5G and edge Internet of Things will offer low latency for public safety, intelligent video, and analytics. Telematics, connecting vehicles, equipment, and devices to secure wireless network through IoT and machine to machine technologies to improve visibility into their status and operation. Network as a service, Verizon NAS delivers agile ways of working from anywhere with more devices. Again, has become even more important. To take advantage of new technologies like 5G, MEC, AR, VR, AI, you need a flexible, programmable, scalable, and reliable platform that delivers network services in a much more agile, resilient, and cloud centric way than traditional network infrastructures. Edge analytics, AI, and ML, the goal of Industry 4.0, the digital industrial revolution in manufacturing is near automated, remotely managed, low touched operations. Edge computing data analytics or edge analytics with a combination of AI and ML gets us there. Connectivity, there's so many great connectivity, private networks, wireless, fixed wireless access, wireline, fiber devices. 5 stages of digital information transformation, excuse me. Start, adapt, elevate, innovate, and disrupt. Bring it into, on the next slide, a little bit about specific to Tennessee. Memphis and Nashville right now have 5G nationwide. They have millimeter wave downtown. They have 5G home internet and 5G business internet. Both Memphis and Nashville are one of the top 75 PEAs, partial economic areas, that will be covered with C-band spectrum within the next 12 months. Chattanooga is a 5G nationwide city, and Knoxville, 5G nationwide city, and there's millimeter wave in West Knox. Knoxville is also is in one of those top 75 PEAs that will be covered within the next 12 months with C-band spectrum. Next, please. All right, supercharging the electrical grid. Next generation energy management needs a network powerful enough to light a million innovations. The energy sector is among the most significant test cases for 5G enabling technologies. The next generation energy grid will need to be smarter at every point of distribution and consumption. One of the most sensible places to look for new efficiencies is at the network level. Whether the challenge is increasing efficiency, reliability, or eco-friendliness of the grid, Verizon's network is primed to play a vital role. The next generation smart grid is expected to lower cost to customers, decrease energy consumption, attract new revenue to cities, and further incentivize adoption of electric passenger and fleet vehicles. Verizon's technology is helping power smart sensors that allow collection of near real-time data on the grid, manage and balance energy loads, and identify and locate outages, monitor meter performance. Next, please. I spoke about the Verizon Foundation in the agenda. I wanted to really bring this home before we get to Q&A with a lot of the things that are happening from our foundation within the state of Tennessee. The Verizon Foundation supports more than 30 separate nonprofit organizations across the state that align with our corporate social responsibility pillars of climate protection, digital inclusion, human prosperity, and STEM education. We continue growing Tennessee-based companies and invest in Tennessee's youth by providing ed tech resources to programs that leave no student behind. The Verizon Foundation leads our humanitarian efforts, donating to the support relief efforts and waiving fees to those affected by natural disasters. Unfortunately, we've had way too many of those of late. Like wildfires, the floods that affected Middle Tennessee just this year. Verizon does more than donate the efforts of others. We directly respond in times of crisis. I mean, we run to a crisis. It's part of our credo, and it's one of the things we do exceptionally well. Quickly deploying assets and the full power of our network to provide operational response to the front line of first responders. The Verizon Foundation has committed over $600,000 this year to Tennessee-based nonprofits. That concludes my slides for this afternoon. Let's move over to Q&A. I think we have some questions that we're going to pose in the chat, or excuse me, in the Q&A tab. And Courtney, you take it away.
Yes, Susan, thanks so much. You know, one of the most interesting things that we have heard from Verizon as we've heard more about the future of networks, and especially your all's work in Tennessee, is the application of 5G and these network enhancements to the advanced energy industry. So you had that slide on there about how 5G can supercharge our electrical grid. And, you know, I just was wondering if you could talk to us just a little bit more about that slide and a little bit more about the applications to 5G, especially as it relates to utilities.
Sure, absolutely, I can do that. All right, so the slide, I don't know if we're showing it. No, we don't need to show it. So with respect to supercharging the grid, there are use cases. We talked about grid sensors and modernization, right? So the ability 5G with its lower latency, bringing it closer to the customer essentially, will be able to have sensors. I talked about how important it would be for us to helping power smart sensors, collection of near real-time data on the grid. I mean, how critical is that overall to the industry? Pretty critical. If I can collect that data real time, I'm able to manage and balance energy loads. Kind of getting back to the slide. If we're able to manage those, balance them, shift them accordingly, as well as, very importantly, locate outages, identify them, monitor meter performance. We're not blind because we have the ability based on the technology to have visibility, to have more transparency. It takes away a lot of the guesswork.
Okay, great. And we've got a question for you here also, Susan. The digital divide is something that we talk a lot about in Tennessee. It has lots of other applications beyond advanced energy, utilities, and grids. But the question is, how will fixed wireless broadband play into helping to solve the issue of the digital divide?
Right. Digital divide is something that I think even before COVID, where it was even much more apparent, cities, states, companies like Verizon, very aware that we need to focus on the digital divide. So when we look at fixed wireless and we look at our deployment, we look at what we have on the 4G space as well as 5G, millimeter wave, bringing it out with C-band where we're reaching further outside, we're going to have the ability to have more points of presence. I think by the end of this year, there's 15 million homes will have ability to access fixed wireless. So as we continue to grow, I mean, you think about the spectrum, right? So we had X amount available to us. Now we have Y available to us, which allows us to build. Remember, I mentioned over the course of 3 years, it's a $10 billion investment in our network infrastructure, just in mid-band alone. So just in the C-band spectrum, that's going to get us to further points out. And I know it's important to Tennessee, and we appreciate that it's important. It's important across the country, quite frankly.
Absolutely. All right, last call for questions. Are there other questions for Susan? Okay, we do have another question. We've got a member company here. We provide Internet of Things ready technology in Tennessee to digitize electrical infrastructure. Can you briefly explain a bit about the startup accelerator focused on growing minority-based tech entrepreneurs? Was this one of the Tennessee investments that their foundation has made? Ivan, if you can respond in the Q&A, just give us a little bit more detail. Yes. So I think it was related to, Susan, the Nashville slide, I think with the Nashville Entrepreneur Center, more about that gift to them and that accelerator program.
Okay, hold please. I just want to read his question one more time. Briefly explain a bit about the startup accelerator focused on growing minority-based tech entrepreneurships. So Ivan, I would really like to take this offline with you and answer it better than I can throw out something, but I want to give you a little bit deeper dive. You've taken the time to ask a very detailed, thought-provoking question. So I'm going to reach out to you. I'll get in touch with Courtney to get your contact information later on today.
Great.
Appreciate
All right.
it. Thanks,
Thank
Evan.
you. Thank you, Susan. And that's a great reminder for networking and how this platform works. We can direct message each other. We can chat with each other, share contact information and all that sort of great things. So Susan, Verizon, thank you very much for your presentation today.
You're welcome. Thank you for the opportunity and happy holidays, everybody.
Of course. Happy holidays.